What if your best friend suddenly turned against you? Imagine you're playing your favorite game, and your strongest teammate, the one who always helps you win, suddenly switches sides. Not because they hate you, but because something went wrong. Sounds confusing, right? Well, something very similar happened a long time ago between a king and his most trusted general. And here's the interesting part. By the end of this story, you'll understand that this wasn't just about betrayal, it was about broken trust. It all started with trust. The general wasn't just any soldier. He was the best in the entire kingdom. When enemies attacked, he led the army and won battles that seemed impossible. When soldiers were scared, he gave them courage. He was smart, brave, and always calm in danger. Because of this, the king trusted him more than anyone else. The king gave him rewards, land, power, and respect. He made him his right-hand man. Everyone in the kingdom knew the general was important. And for a while, everything worked perfectly. But then things slowly started to change. People in the palace began whispering. They would say things like, "The general is getting too powerful," or "the soldiers respect him more than they respect the king." Now think about this. If you kept hearing people say your best teammate might leave you or turn against you, how would you feel? Even if it wasn't true, those thoughts would still stay in your mind. That's exactly what happened to the king. At first, he ignored it. He trusted his general. But over time, the whispers didn't stop. And slowly, the king started to feel worried. He began thinking, what if the general becomes stronger than me? What if one day he doesn't need me anymore? And here's the problem. When we start to feel scared or unsure, we don't always act the same way. The king began to change how he treated the general. Instead of trusting him fully, he started questioning him. Instead of giving him more responsibility, he started taking some away. He even gave him tasks that were very difficult, almost like he wanted him to fail. Now imagine you're the general. You've worked hard. You've helped the king win again and again. You've always been loyal. And suddenly the person you trust the most starts treating you like you can't be trusted. How would that feel? Confusing? Hurtful? That's exactly how the general felt. He didn't wake up one day and decide, "I'm going to betray the king." No. At first, he just felt confused. Then he felt hurt. Then he started to feel worried. He began thinking, why is the king acting like this? Did I do something wrong? Or does he not trust me anymore? And that's where things started to change. Because when trust starts to break, even a little bit, it doesn't stay small for long. Loyalty is easy when everything is going well. But when you feel like you might lose everything, even your safety, it becomes much harder. The general started to notice something. The king wasn't just acting differently, he might actually be planning something against him. Maybe removing him from power. Maybe even worse. Now the general had a big problem. If he stayed loyal, he might lose everything. But if he acted first, he might be able to protect himself. This wasn't just about power anymore. It was about survival. So instead of acting quickly, the general did something very smart. He started talking. Not loudly. Not openly. Quietly. He spoke to other soldiers, people who trusted him. But he didn't say, "Let's go against the king." Instead, he asked simple questions. Have you noticed things feel different lately? Do you feel safe in your position? What if the king stops trusting you too? Now here's something important to understand. He didn't tell people what to think. He made them think for themselves. And when people start to question things, those thoughts spread. Slowly, more and more soldiers began to feel unsure. They started thinking, maybe something really is wrong. And just like that, doubt started to grow. But nothing happened yet. Because the general was waiting. Waiting for the moment when everything would become clear. And that moment finally came. The king gave an order. It seemed normal at first, but something about it didn't feel right. Some say the king asked the general to come back to the capital in a suspicious way. Others believe the king was secretly planning to remove him. But the general understood one thing. The king no longer trusted him. And more importantly, he might not be safe anymore. Now the general had to make a decision. A very big one. Stay loyal and risk everything? Or act first before it's too late? This was the moment of no return. Once he made his choice, there would be no going back. And he chose to act. The general quickly gathered the soldiers who believed in him. The ones who trusted him. The ones who felt the same doubt. But this wasn't messy or random. It was planned. Careful. Fast. They moved quickly and took control of important places before the king even realized what was happening. And just like that, everything changed. The kingdom that was once united became divided. On one side was the king with his title and authority. On the other side was the general with the loyalty of the army. And here's the surprising part. The king had always feared that the general might turn against him. But by not trusting him, he actually caused it to happen. Now let's think about this for a moment. Was the general wrong? Or was the king wrong? It's not an easy answer. The general felt hurt, confused, and unsafe. The king felt scared and unsure. Both of them made decisions based on fear. And those decisions led to a huge problem. Because when trust breaks at the top, everything below it starts to break too. In some versions of this story, the general wins and becomes the new ruler. In others, the kingdom falls into chaos, and both sides suffer. But no matter how it ends, one thing always stays the same. Things are never the same again. Because trust, once broken, is very hard to fix. And here's the most important part of this story. It's not just about kings and generals. It happens everywhere. In school, when friends stop trusting each other. In teams, when players don't feel supported. In families, when people stop listening to each other. It always starts small. A little doubt. A little fear. A small misunderstanding. And if it's not fixed, it grows bigger and bigger. Until one day, everything falls apart. So what can we learn from this? Trust is one of the most important things in any relationship. If you break it, even a little, it can grow into something much bigger. And sometimes, the biggest problems don't come from enemies. They come from the people who were once closest to us. So here's the truth. Betrayal doesn't happen suddenly. It grows slowly when trust is broken again and again. And if we're not careful, fear and doubt can turn even the strongest friendships into something unrecognizable. If you enjoyed this story and want more real stories explained in a simple way, you're going to love the next one. And if this made you think even a little, drop a like. It helps bring more stories like this to you.